Hi, we're Harder Brunch.
We're Harder Brunch.
And we're super excited to tell you about our adult summer camp this August 25th, 26th, and 27th.
Wow.
We're going to be doing a full 3-day festival, and we want you to be a part of it.
Let's go.
It's going to be amazing. We got all your favorite comedians. We got headliners Brent Terhune and Gwen Sunkel on board.
Okay.
We're going to have musical acts by Clint Breeze, House of Wolves, The Tubbles.
Dang.
And all weekend is going to be all inclusive.
Wait, all
That's
inclusive?
right. One ticket price all weekend long gets you into everything. We're going to be bringing back all of the favorite summer camp activities you remember as a kid. We're going to be doing swimming, archery, handicrafts, canoes.
Wow.
All weekend long, all inclusive.
That's not even financially smart.
Well, that's what we're doing. Get your tickets today at eventbrite.com, and we'll see you there.
I guess we'll see you there.
Harder Brunch. Summer camp.
I'm eating brunch with my people though. The homie Dyke just cooked up a feast and we bout to eat it, bro. Fucked around and has to mix the lobster with the poutine. Daddy is rolling blue dream, them boys got down a routine. It's Naptown culture, cooking 7 courses. Had to pass the torch and now I'm grabbing second portion. So sit back, relax, grab a drink and a smoke. It's Harder Brunch on the way and get prepared for the jokes. Whoa.
Hi, and welcome to the Harder Brunch Podcast. I'm your host, Dyke Michaels, and with me, as always, my co-host, Studies Jay McKee.
Camp out. Slap it, pappy, wow, wow.
On the ones and twos, the wheels of steel, the sauce boss of Indianapolis, and the last woke dragon. Give it up for Zach Rohn, everybody.
You heard it, Camp Out 2023.
Yeah.
Subtle, boys, real subtle. And a very special first-time guest with us in studio from New York City. New York. By way of Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Liam Nelson, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here. I've been sleeping in this basement. I've been so excited to do a podcast in the place that Thad and Dyke lock me when I'm naughty. All right.
This really has been. I noticed this morning that the light was on in this room, and I was like, I hope he knows he could turn that light off. Like,
yeah, that's fine. I unscrewed a light bulb earlier because I couldn't find the light switch, but I screwed it back in afterwards, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
That's the kind of hospitality you can expect here at Harder Brunch Airbnb.
Yep. I feel like you guys need to have a picture of the accommodations.
It's pretty.
Oh.
It seems like a test. Like you're trying to vibe out like what kind of person I am. Because when on the phone you're like, oh, you can stay in your own room or you can crash on the couch. And I was like, why the fuck would I crash on the couch? And then I saw the room and I was like, you know what?
Yeah. It's a real Sophie's choice.
Either Cody barks at the mailman every 15 minutes or I have to sleep in the dungeon. And also just getting down here as a whole. We got a little video of it that you guys will put somewhere, I imagine. I got to do like the limbo in a way. I was never good at limbo as a kid. And I like don't bend in half like that. Like I come in here at a 45-degree angle. Like
I was watching the video and I was just like, oh, this isn't going to be as crazy as I thought. And then at the end I was like, oh God, yeah, you did have to bend yourself. Well, you are a tall man.
Yeah, 7 feet of tall.
7 feet, 7 feet of talls.
Yep.
And so we normally don't point out what'd you call it, Zach?
People size?
Well, yeah, no. So when I was brought this, like we talk about the menu for each week, and he was like, "Well, this, you remember him? He's really tall, so we're gonna do tall food." And the next week I was
First
like, "Oh,
it's called Tall Order."
Yeah. And so I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot we're talking about this guy's body." Yeah. That's what we're doing.
I'm
for this
gonna be real
episode.
though. Like I've seen, I imagine you've done like someone's Mexican, you do like Mexican food, something, but it feels like more about me.
Wait. You think we do race-based food?
Just something related to them, like so I don't know.
It's like 25% of the time. It's
I mean, we've cooked. He's made Haitian food for you before.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm saying it feels more special because it's tall is not like a culture, it's like tall is just me. It's like you guys are like, that's the one thing we can all see about him. So we're gonna make an entire meal of sculptures of him, essentially.
I'll tell you what the roughest part is. If you would have canceled on us, like trying to push this meal, because I wasn't changing the menu.
Yeah, you have to just like find some other tall motherfucker to come be the guest of honor for this meal.
He's 6'4". That's close enough, right? Like, we're good. Yeah. So it was a thing where I was like, oh, he's a comic. This will be great. And then Zach put that little seed of doubt in my head, and I was like, oh, I don't want to be disrespectful. And then I was like, well, it's not like it's a disability being tall. And then you got over here and you're like, so I have this disability. And I was like, God damn it.
But you didn't make like a Marfan brunch. Like a collapsing lung cake, like a dislocated retina fucking apple pie. No, you're good. You know, it's just tall. It just stacks of food. I don't think anyone could be offended by just stacking food on top of each other and being like, "That look, it's you."
Yeah. I really feel like we got to up our game, though. I mean, you've inspired me at this point.
Wait, you want to do a disabilities?
Have me back. Have me back, and I will give you a list of like the most serious complications that could happen from my genetic connective tissue disorder.
Yeah.
So like aortic rupture or something. Like going blind in both eyes.
Oh,
I do
black eyed peas.
There you go.
I do like the detached retina apple pie. Because I was immediately going like, how would I do that? Oh man, the other thing, I guess casual surface level thing about you that's kind of fun is we do have something in common. You are in the easily make funnable name group.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
open mics were tough.
When did that start? How old were you? Was that your whole life, or when did that start with you?
So I've always had like a few things that people mentioned consistently about me. When I was a kid, it was like he's tall and he's got a big ass red birthmark on his arm. Over time, it's become less tall comments, more Liam Neeson comments, more less red birthmark comments altogether. Like no one notices the fucking birthmark anymore. They're just like, oh, that's the tallest Liam Neeson impersonator I've ever seen. Like, and the worst thing is, like, so my name is Liam Nelson.
Yeah,
one letter off, and I'm 23 years old. So he was already famous when I was conceived and born. Like, there was no time. She was like, I'm going to name him after Liam Neeson, essentially. Like, I want him to never be able to be Googled ever. Like, the thing that comes up when you Google my name is just when people spelled his name wrong.
Oh, wow.
What's the best Liam Neeson joke that someone's thrown at you?
Someone in a roast battle one time told me, he's like, I'm like Liam Neeson, but the only thing that hasn't been taken is my virginity. So that was pretty good.
That's a good one.
Oh, man. Yeah, I have an affinity for anybody that like had a name that they were like teased about. Like, oh, he gets it.
Yeah, for sure.
He knows all about it.
Yeah.
And it also shows you like where the low hanging fruit is, because it's just like, man, there's so many things in your life that I know you hear like every single day.
Yeah. If a guy at a sunglass stand at a mall has said it to me, you're not being funny,
Oh, shoot. That one hit home. That one hit home.
But it is funny to think about comics too, like trying to like hone in on. I'm gonna find the one thing that no one else is like roasting about, like he's got stinky feet. No one ever talks about his feet. I'm gonna make fun of that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. I did smell your feet when you were sleeping in there.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, good. Is that?
It's part of the full Airbnb package.
Yeah. It's part of the test in the dungeon.
Yeah, I'm in the dungeon / laundry room.
Guess what? You passed, buddy.
Hey, is that why my toes felt so squeaky clean this morning?
Yeah, that's free.
And we are very excited because we are going to have you come on as our official videographer for Harder Brunch Adult Summer Camp 2023.
Can we hit that Harder Brunch thing?
That is Dad's button. That's the button you hit.
Is it playing?
Yeah.
Yes. It's definitely playing.
If you like this, and I know you do, you're going to see a lot of it happening at Adult Summer Camp.
Oh, I'm such a good dancer, y'all.
We tickets are on sale right now. We basically, if you don't know, if you haven't heard, if you've been living under a rock, we rented out 300 acres in Brown County, Indiana. we're having we're taking over a summer camp. We're having all the staff be comics that are going to be your counselors. We're doing all your favorite camp activities, and we're doing comedy shows, live performances, live podcasts, musical guests, food fights, capture the flag, everything under the sun.
Secret in the woods parties.
You can go to Thad's secret party.
Well, that's, you got to market it way better than that.
That's what Thad calls taking a shit in the woods.
You've never done that with a group?
Little parties, yeah. They all hold hands and
They all hold hands.
They brace on each other so their distributed weight holds them all up.
In Boy Scouts, they taught us how to lean on each other. What do you have to take a caca?
When I was in first grade, we took
we all take turns being the toilet, just holding our hands.
Don't move.
I feel like you guys aren't taking this seriously. And I'm kind of offended about it.
When I was in first grade, we took a field trip to like a park, like a big, like, we have this park called Eagle Creek, which is like a big park. And we had like a picnic, and then I guess they had taken like all the boys to use the restroom at once, and I just missed the call. And so I was like finishing up my lunch, and I just ran out, and I just saw like every girl in my class like squatting in like in a herd together, and I was so confused because I didn't understand why they weren't standing up to pee. You know, yeah. But I was just like, what are they? So I didn't even know they were peeing. I was just like, what? And I saw a teacher, and I was like, what are they doing? And she was
They're
like,
more safe at the watering hole than numbers. That's crazy.
And the teacher just was like, get out of here. And I was like, oh, God.
Is that why girls all go to the bathroom together so they can all just sit next to each other while they pee?
Yeah, and look out for predators.
They all make a protective circle and they all stare out.
Wait, why was the teacher that nearby?
Yeah, why were you that nearby? What was happening?
This is only for me.
No, it was a female teacher that yelled. She just had a very, I don't know. You can't have 30 kids peeing in the woods without an adult supervisor. Man, it was
gotta make sure it comes out clear, you know?
Yeah. It was the 90s, man. Times were different back then.
Times were, let's just say that. Times were different in the 90s. Can we just stop?
Like specifically, the year was different that time.
The year, literally.
The group peeing rules were different. Lots of things were different. Man.
Have you ever peed out in the woods with a group?
A group? I'm not a really group. I did. What age do you stop playing swords?
That's a good question.
Because like I feel like that was my favorite thing to do, like on a sleepover the next morning. It was like, oh, we get to pee in the same toilet at the same time.
Oh, okay.
I just told my boss
that was like a specific thing. Like that was the selling point of the day, or that was just something.
It was
extra
just like
fun?
when it happened. I was like, oh,
you guys are playing flag swords.
I forgot I got this bonus like fun time.
Yeah.
I didn't have any siblings growing up.
I was thinking like full contact swords, like just straight.
Well, it's stream swords.
Yeah,
like only the streaming version.
Right.
And like I asked my boss that the same way. Like, are we too old to play swords in the bathroom?
Yeah, I don't remember the day when it happened, but there had to have been a time where it was like one kid was like, "Hey, we can play swords." I'm like, "Nah, man, we don't do that anymore."
Well, something usually bad probably happens.
What would that be?
Well, I mean, like if you're crossing streams, something's going to get on the foot. That's an old proverb.
Oh, I mean, I know, like watching my son use the restroom and like remembering back to playing swords, like I know I pissed all over everything.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way that any of it went in the
I'm going to be real. This conversation is making me feel real uncool as a kid because no one invited me to play swords.
You never played? Did you have any brothers growing up?
No.
No, you're probably like too tall at the time to play swords. You were probably knighting them at the time. That's what you're there for.
This guy's gonna piss all over my ears.
And I now dub you the
Were you always tall, or did you like hit a growth spurt at
5 foot
age?
by kindergarten, 6 foot by like 5th grade?
Hey, stop, Casey. Do not look up swords on my computer. That's a definite no. I'm sorry, guys. But like, I don't need kids peeing on my computer. That seems like obvious. Sorry. I had to stop that before I went to jail.
Yeah. So you were 6 feet at how old?
Like 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's when I got kicked out of basketball because I was suspiciously maybe not 12.
Oh, they thought you were a ringer.
Yeah, well, so I was in a local Christian league in Atlanta, and there was like a rumor was going around that like I was sent over from Russia as like a test tube baby to be like a ringer for a local Christian 10-year-olds basketball league, you know? Because that's what's important to the Russians these days. It's not like the whole dismantling democracy thing. It's like we need the Holy Trinity's going down. All right?
That's hilarious.
Is anyone making a lot of money off these games?
No, it's just I think I scared the grandparents of the other team. And they're like, my baby, like and they'd see me go out for the tip off. They're like, don't hurt him, and I was terrible. And
Did you always look older too, or did you look like a giant baby?
Yeah, no, I was definitely looked a lot old. I mean, people just assume when you're taller, you're older a lot of the time. So like
when you just said you were 23, it just blew my mind.
Oh yeah, I have a joke where that is the entire premise of the joke is getting the audience to guess how old I am. I get 45 a lot, and it's just it's a big reveal. Like the beard especially doesn't help, and I used to wear like a lot of cardigans. Like in the winter, I'm in a lot of cardigans, and I get 40s exclusively with the guesses. When I wear a bucket hat, it makes me look a little younger, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to recapture my youth.
Well, it's also like, believe it or not, I don't hang out with a lot of 23-year-olds.
I know.
But I do because of comedy.
Right.
But like, they're also like all the 23-year-olds that I hang out with because of comedy act like they're in their late 30s, you know, like
no one wants to hang out with 23-year-olds.
Yeah.
We suck, dog.
Like I was trying to explain that to a guest that we had on, Jake Smith. I was like, you don't act like other people your age, right? Like, you're like more mature. And he was
I take pride in that.
He was like, yeah, I guess. Like, I don't know. I was like, I was a maniac at 23.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to. Like, no one would want to be around this.
But I feel like you got trained by like someone, like your mentor was Kermit the Frog at 17 years old.
Yeah,
so
Steve
you had
Whitmire.
We buried the lead that you hang out with the Kermit the Frog.
Yeah, he came to my high school graduation.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so Steve Whitmire, who was Kermit the Frog after Henson, like it was passed down to him. He was also like Ernie and Rizzo, and like he was the original Rizzo, and a bunch of other like characters. He and I met at like a film conference when I was like 17, and he had just like left the Muppets because Disney's bullshit, and we're tired of like him having any creative input on Muppet properties. They're like, we just want the corporation to control everything. Thanks though, because he was like one of the last people who was like
hands on
from way back when. Like he started there when he was 17.
Oh,
and he was like 60 when he left. So he and I met at the conference. I was like, hey, I'm a young producer. He didn't know how old I was at the time. So part of this is like exactly what you're talking about. He thought I was like 28.
yeah, you catfish.
17 years old. I showed up to a meeting being like, hey, and I had done a lot of like cool like video work in the past because I had a lot of really good opportunities like young, and I just had a film go to the Cannes Film Festival at the time. So I had like okay qualifications to do it. But he hit me up and we just started putting together a show that was initially for Adult Swim, which was like an internet troll character who did like a call-in live show once a month where people like complained about their lives and he would just like riff on it and make fun of them kind of. But eventually Adult Swim kind of like ghosted us for some reason. And so we proceeded to make the show for 3 years, just like independently in a studio that I like owned in like way out in the boonies of Atlanta. And we just the two of us in a room with a green screen, and like his wife would sometimes do the right hand, sometimes I would do the right hand of the puppet while I was like start the camera, run over, do the right hand, like slate the take, and then be done, you know?
So let's back this up a little bit, because we talk about how mature you are. Part of it is because at 17 you have your own studio.
Yeah.
And you already had a film in Cannes.
Yeah, it was me and my two film mentors at the time, the Bontrager twins, who are these two like 50-something-year-old guys at the time who. What a trio we were going to Europe together. These two, they're like the goofiest boys, and I love them to death. But like, they almost got pickpocketed like 3 times, and I had to stop it and be like, no, they need their wallet. Thank you. Like, so I was just like parenting these men at 17. But we all made the movie together, and then it was a cool project. I just got started super young.
Were you from like is your like parent? What do your parents do?
My mom is what kind of got me connected with it. She does like live event production, and so a lot of her videographers for her events, like when I was really young, and started like shooting just to help them out at her events and stuff, just to, like because I enjoyed shooting video.
Yeah.
I like got super tight with them, and then they all kind of blew up whenever the Atlanta like music video production and like film scene kind of took off. So just a couple ins helped me kind of get all the way through. So like I ended up working as a PA on the Bad and Bougie music video when I was 14. It's like just weird, just like stories to have. And then I just, kept at it. So I had kind of like a whole music video and like production career before stopping most of that to do comedy full time. So it's like,
wow.
There's been eras.
You were showing us a video that you shot that was it was like a rap video, but it was like a parody of kind of like of Good Burger.
Yeah. That's we produced it at the same place we shot the Bad and Bougie music video. But it's IDFW, this band 300 Pounds of Goo-Wop. We did like a full Good Burger parody. We built like a custom milkshake machine and had like a shot where he's in the milkshake machine, like in Good Burger, and he's pouring a milkshake on some girl's butt while she's twerking. It's fun, you know?
Yeah, I like you. He was like, we had to pay her $1,000 to do that.
You have to pay people a lot of money to pour a milkshake all over their butt.
Now you did one with Lil Durk, correct?
Yeah, I worked on Having My Way with Lil Skies and Lil Durk. I was actually in that one as like a little guitar guy with, because Lil Durk wouldn't be around the scantily clad women because his girlfriend was there. And so they needed someone to like, because we had all these dancers who were like there. So they're like, all right, Liam, you want to do it? I was like, I mean, I guess if you insist. So it's just me like pretending to play the guitar in like a jumpsuit with like a rose in my hair and all these like rope clad women dancing around me in like a window.
You seem like there's a certain kind of white guy that I feel like black people really enjoy, and I feel like that's you. You're in that category.
I mean, I grew up in Atlanta, so
yeah. Like I can see you especially being like a treat for black people.
Yeah, for sure.
But you feel you're also like very comfortable. Like one of the funniest things said about Zach ever. We had a guest on, and she said Zach's the kind of person that just feels way too comfortable around black people. And I was like, that's true.
I mean, most of my friends growing up were black kids. Like it's very, it's, I don't know. I think I inherently have things where it's like, I just get along with people who have like good energy, and fucking sometimes white people are just too uptight, you know?
I could just see, I don't know, like I just imagine all these like hardcore rappers in Atlanta being like, get my man over there playing the ukulele.
Yeah, no, I've had a lot of rappers kind of be like, you're the fucking producer? Like, okay, bro. And then they're like 16-year-old kid who's in their posse will be like, I'll pay you $100 to kick your ass. Like, I mean, no, dog, thank you for the offer, I guess.
Have you ever taken that offer?
No, I have a disability. If you punch me in the heart, I'll die.
Very well.
Yeah.
I mean, that should be your merch. That should be like a t-shirt.
Punch me in the heart, I'll die. No, because then some drunk motherfucker would do it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's an invitation.
We had a guest on last week that owned a they had a mascot for their business, which was like a lemon costume. And they were just talking about all the times that they have to go to a lot of like beer festivals and stuff. It is just like, oh, you have to put the mascot costume on before everyone gets drunk, or it's just like open season on.
Do I have a story for you?
Oh yeah.
Let me set you up. I was like, hey, what'd you do in high school? What was your other job in high school? And then he proceeds to say when you were 17 as well.
I think it started when I was like 16.
When you're 16, you
became a professional Chewbacca sometimes at like frat parties and kids parties.
Oh my god!
Which is like very similar events.
Yeah,
you know,
you got molested.
Everyone's stumbling around trying to touch you with sticky fingers. It's like both, you know. And I just get the shit kicked out of me at both of these events. But the frat boys hit a lot harder, so I had to learn how to be like, don't hit me, I'm a pussy. In like Chewbacca language, you know.
I was just about to ask, but can you break us off a little Chewbacca?
It's fun.
Oh man, because that's the hardest one. Because you can break character, like, ouch, that hurts.
They like insist that you don't break character too. So I'm just like, Chewbacca, you want to do a keg stand?
I like you sign language. Like,
Oh, it's emergency charades all day. I've learned how to say, please don't hand me your baby. I will drop it.
Okay, so you're going to an event as Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Like, how do you break up that time? Like, I'm assuming it's at least an hour, right? Or more.
It's like 4 hours.
What do you do? What are you doing?
Walk
do you have
around.
a routine? Yeah.
And wave at people, and then they all are like freaked out and interact with me however they're going to do. So like the frat party, for example, I show up, I kind of just post up in an area. People start coming over talking to me. When I feel like I've kind of hit that area, I'll move to a different area. And then every like 20 minutes or so, because it's Georgia and July, I have to go run to a back room somewhere, chug 3 giant bottles of water to keep from passing out, and then come back out. Because it's like 95 degrees outside, and all day I'm outside in a giant fursuit.
Are you able to remove the head, or was it through a zipper or something like that?
No, I can remove that. Yeah, so I'll sometimes people will just see me like in the corner, just facing the corner, just like
hey, his head's coming off.
As Casey Rocket would call it, Blair Witching in the corner.
Now, oh my God, so I would assume if I just saw like a Chewbacca, I would assume not that that's a really tall person.
That's a person on stilts.
But it's like a person on
People
stilts.
kick me in the shins a lot. They're like, oh, that's not real. And then I'm like, ow.
You need signs to say these are real shins.
I think I just need a sign. People just need to stop hitting me. You know?
I mean, it's wild to think, like, it's wild that the thought is, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were in stilts. That's why I kicked at you.
Okay, so he just pulled up Peter Mayhew, the guy who originally played Chewbacca. I have a story about him as well. Okay. I was working on a documentary for a while about people with Marfan syndrome because like I had a hard time with my diagnosis initially, and so I wanted something that like. And then I met a bunch of people with it, and it helped me kind of like see hope for my future again. Because up until 20 years ago, you had maybe 30 years to live with Marfan syndrome, but now like you can live a pretty normal life as long as you're like on top of your medical care. And so I was making this documentary, trying to find as many like inspiring people with Marfan syndrome. And there's like a big rumor that he has Marfan syndrome. And I, with Steve, the puppeteer, flew to Texas.
Wait, now have you already been Chewbacca at this point?
Yeah, for years. Okay. I flew to Texas to go interview Peter at a Comic-Con because Steve and Peter knew each other in the past. And so I got there, flew to fucking Alamo City, Texas. And the first question, I'm like, oh, so like what's it like living with Marfan syndrome and being an actor? And he's like, I don't have Marfan syndrome.
Oh.
I feel like that's so kind of on your bad.
Oh.
Like, I feel like you
the whole internet says he does. And so I got there, and then I asked that first question, and it fucked with me so hard that I didn't even start rolling the camera, and I just kind of packed it up and left. I was like, all right, well, this has been a wash. And he died 2 months later.
You could have had like a dope interview with.
So like I mean and then also like everyone in the Marfan community thinks he has it, and for some reason like I told a couple people who like know everyone in the online Marfan community that he doesn't have it, and now every time someone's like, oh, Peter Mayhew is a famous person with Marfan syndrome, I get tagged in a Facebook thread. It's like, nope, Liam's gonna ruin the party here now.
He said so, he didn't.
Yeah, he told me to my face that he did not have it.
Yeah, you're like the kid that tells the other kids that Santa's not real.
Yeah, and I don't know why they keep like, he's dead. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You know, like we can just say he had Marfan syndrome.
It's kind of tough because Google says Peter Mayhew did have Marfan syndrome.
Yeah, it
says it right there.
He doesn't have it. He has pituitary gigantism, not Marfan syndrome, and I don't know why it says he has both. My right headphone just went out, I think.
Oh yeah, it's right there on his Wikipedia.
Someone needs to change. You need to change that.
So yeah. So who is the most famous person?
Austin Carlisle from the band of Mice and Men is up there.
Okay.
He's kind of a piece of shit though. Grooms kids. But yeah, he was in my documentary, and then I cut him out. But yeah,
no, don't bring him up. Let's see what it looks like.
There's someone else. Osama Bin Laden.
Okay, right. So pedophiles and terrorists.
Are you being serious right now?
I'm 100% serious.
Wait, he had it?
I have a joke about it where I'm like, yeah, it's a third tall white tower he's taken down with Osama. You know? Because man, that sucks that he is like one of the few notable people with the thing that I have.
Yeah, that's quite.
There's been a few actors. I don't remember their names off the top of my head, but he looks like it. I'm trying to think of who else is famous.
He's like Satan, Super Hitler.
It makes you wonder. It's like, are people with Marfan syndrome like more prone to be monsters, or are we just easier to see doing it?
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
That's so good.
Like, we just can't get away with that shit. Like, what's the lineup for me committing a crime?
That's true.
Like the entire Atlanta Hawks and then like a telephone pole and a sweater. Like, what?
Oh, they're saying Abraham Lincoln had it.
Yeah. Okay, that's the other, like,
You buried the lead, dude. You buried the lead.
but they don't know that he had it. He's his is so long ago that it's like a maybe. Osama, like Bin Laden, there's like been some like medical info that was found that like confirms it. But like he does look very morphinoid.
Yeah. But one day you're gonna invent like a time machine and you're gonna go back with your recorder and be like,
I'm not gonna stop the Holocaust, but I'm just gonna get Lincoln to admit that he has Marfan
right
syndrome.
past 9/11. You're gonna go talk to Lincoln.
No, I'm gonna stop at 9/11 and be like, excuse me, Osama, please don't do this. You're making Marfs look bad. All right.
You're giving us a real bad name. Oh my God. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break and we'll be right back.
This week on the After Brunch Podcast.
She hangs up, and I'm about to say that, and she looks at me and she says, "You wash penis?"
So the two things that she said in English so far is, I hate black people and your penis needs to be clean.
Yeah, that's
And you said yes or no.
Well, I said like,
So I can maybe.
like in the shower, and she's like, "No, you wash penis now." Which,
professional.
honestly, I think that is a European thing, and on a little hygiene before hooking up, I think is something as Americans we should probably do more of. It's very polite to your partner.
It also does sound like a prostitute thing.
And
Join us at patreon.com/Harder Brunch.
Put it back on there.
and we're back, baby.
No, you're the captain now.
I don't know how to do this. I'm scared. Help! I'm not supposed to do this. Get me out of this position.
We like to do our Smoking Goose brunch breakdown. That's good. Smoking Goose is a high-end butcher shop here in Indianapolis that make a lot of delicious products, and they're one of our sponsors. And we did food in your honor today. The theme was tall order of food.
Hell yeah.
So the idea was to have all foods that had height to them or had some sort of tall qualities. Zach,
What's tall qualities?
being tall, I guess.
Just that.
Height. I was just, yeah.
Nice.
All of the foods had big dicks.
All the foods had big dicks.
Actually, the donut tower is an exact replica of my dick. I don't know how you guys got the texture so correct, but
We called it a couple people.
We got some cameras down in the basement.
got a real cookies and cream type of dick down there. This does feel like where you'd film like a Big Brother type of show that I didn't know about.
Like there's secret cameras all over the house.
That's how you fund your rent. Is just like comics in the wild,
Yeah.
like bum fights, but for comics.
It's a lot of blackmailing and Zach, you do the first dish, wouldn't you?
So the first thing I did was mozzarella stick Jenga. I stacked mozzarella sticks as high as I could in a bowl of. I made a sweet pepper and caramelized onion marinara for it.
It looked really good.
It was mad good.
But it did. I think you Jenga'd it as you were getting ready to serve it.
Man, so I thought that they would stack really easy, and they did stack really easy. I thought I could get it really super tall, but then I didn't think about all the hot marinara and that the entire structure would start sinking into it. And so it was actually way more challenging to make things tall than I expected.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Hard
everything
being tall.
Yeah, everything was working against it.
You sink in the marinara. I'll say this: like people had a problem with that because they kept going for seconds, and it was just cheese sticks. But like
Just more cheese sticks in the dip.
yeah, and
Well,
like,
the dip was already on them. See, you just had to grab that.
the sauce was really good. I don't know if he did something
so good.
Yeah, did he do something extra to the sauce? We don't know.
Yeah, I told you. I put caramelized onions and sweet peppers in there.
Other than that, I'm at magic. I'm at magic, not ingredients.
Oh, yeah, of course. I put magic too.
I get bored with this ingredient stuff.
I need to know what you were feeling when you cut it.
And then what was the second dish?
The second dish, I did a big old plate of flapjacks, and then I put it was like a full breakfast flapjacks. So I put sausage and bacon between them. I made a maple and sriracha butter to put between them, and then
Super good.
covered up with maple syrup.
I'll tell you this: out of all the brunches we've had, I was very surprised, pleasantly, about how much eating actually happened on this wood. Like, I feel like you guys went pretty hard in the paint.
Like, yeah, I was concerned for my ability to speak for an hour after.
I cannot participate in a Harder Brunch podcast very well. If I do, it's a lot. I realized there was at some point where I realized how heavy of a breather that I was like, oh, I brunched too hard. And then it was just like, so tell me about the first open mic yours.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing too is I wanted the tallness of all the food to come through, so I was kind of
the donuts really were the cherry. I think for like height. The Jenga, it was stacked pretty well. Like, it was like enough to where like this is a Jenga tower. None of us tried to pull it out like Jenga because it felt rude to just stick our fingers in the middle of this dish. But yeah, I think it came across,
The first idea was to actually have real Jenga with just some of them removed and some of them have mozzarella sticks in. Fun. But I feel like
that would have provided the structure you needed.
But that would have gone. I feel like if you didn't buy a completely brand new Jenga set, it would have just been gross. Like, where are these blocks been?
Yeah. Also, what's the plan? The blocks fall into the marinara sauce and splash over the table over our white shirt.
Whoever loses gets covered in marinara sauce.
And then the third one.
The third one was the onion rings, beer battered onion rings with Upland beer, and then remoulade sauce.
Super good.
That was
on a paper towel holder.
On a paper towel holder, yeah. I forgot my big dowel rod. I had a whole dowel rod constructed that was, and then I forgot it. So it was Dyke's paper towel holder. I'm glad somebody noticed.
Wait, that was the paper towel holder?
that was absolutely. I washed it.
Okay.
After you guys ate off.
Yeah. Because you wouldn't want the paper towels to get dirty.
Yeah, it was very gross then.
And then I did a surf and turf stack, which was cornbread, a Juicy Lucy stuffed burger, and then crab cake, and then ceviche.
Wild stuff.
That was my favorite. I think that was like, oh, so fucking. I love a seafood, and it's like at that point in the meal, like I was like, oh, thank God, something that's cold and like with a vegetable. Yeah. It was good. Oh man.
Yeah, that was my favorite in the way it actually made me mad because like now I'm full. Can't eat anymore, and I just want to throw it against the wall. Like, why did you wait till the last moment?
Bring this out before the mozzarella sticks. You tricked me.
Yeah.
For some reason, because we talk like midweek about like the food we're gonna make, but like sometimes I feel like we have it fleshed out more than others, and so like for some reason I thought that was gonna be the first thing, and then like Zach comes in with all this stuff and he's like, well, I'm doing the first 3 courses and then you, right? And I was like, yep, that's how I saw it in my mind. And
I didn't think you wanted to start with the seafood and beef first. Right? Like I didn't think you wanted to like throw that out first.
No, we should have.
So my original
probably
my original idea. See, sometimes I want the gimmick overrides the actual food.
Yeah.
So like my original idea is I wanted the food to get taller and taller each course. So I wanted to like start off with the shortest one, but like it wouldn't have made sense.
We did it. It would have achieved that if we started out with the beef or whatever. I guess I was thinking in the same way, but I considered like the quality of what you were doing. Like I was putting out appetizer food, right? So yeah, but no, you're right. Like it probably would have fit if we.
It's doing a lot for a gimmick. It's like doing a lot. It's just like, but like also, man, no matter what way that you sort out the food, by the 4th course, everyone's a little angry. Everyone's like, because you always, even Thad, who's been on the show for like 2.5 years, like. I was overeats on the first course sometimes and knows he'll warn people like, hey, there's a lot of food.
Yeah.
Like, just, heads up. But, like, even you sometimes by the fourth, you're like, oh.
Yeah, sometimes you guys make it so good.
I was worried when all those pancakes, like one pancake came back on that plate. And I was like, holy shit, that is a lot of bread.
Yeah, we just smashed those pancakes.
Those mozzarella sticks too. I had 5.
yeah. We were scooping it.
That sauce was so like tempting. I just kept eating more mozzarella sticks just to have more of the sauce.
Just to have more of the sauce.
Then, and then
what was in that sauce?
A mystery sauce.
Was it magic?
Then I did the donut hole tree, and I mean, part of the fun of that was just going to Dunkin' Donuts, and I was just like, I need some munchkins. How do they come? And they came in all these different, assortments, and 50 was the biggest one. I was like, how many kinds do you have? Like 3. I was like, can I have 50 of each kind? And then the lady goes, that's 150 munchkins. And I was like,
yes, sir. Yes, ma'am,
yes,
it is.
Please. Can you get cut off from ordering too much?
They're like, you come in here every Wednesday, doctor. We can't keep giving you these. I'm going to come in frosting all over your face.
Well, and then I heard the manager call back. They were super polite. Honestly, shout out to Dunkin' Donuts on 10th Street, because it was the nicest service I've got post COVID out of any restaurant. They walked in, they were like, good morning. And then I ordered this ridiculous thing, and then I just heard the manager. She was like, hey Sheila, this guy just ordered 150 munchkins. Can you help me out with that? Oh. And all they did is they just had a bin that had 1,000 of munchkins, and I saw them in there throwing them in, and then I heard her say, she goes, are you counting those? Or you just throwing them in?
He's like, it doesn't matter. He's going to die anyways.
I feel like at a certain point, you're just getting a lot of munchkins.
Yeah. On a scale of 7 to 10, how much shit do you think they're talking about you?
A lot.
I feel like you should have just asked for as many munchkins as you can carry, and then let them just toss it all into a bucket.
Yeah.
What's the legal amount of munchkins?
Do you sell munchkins by the pound here?
That guy has a strange kink.
So we were talking during the break. You said there was another a professional athlete.
Yeah, Isaiah Austin, former Baylor star basketball player, got very publicly diagnosed with Marfan syndrome when he was about to be drafted for the NBA, and then he got his NBA checkup, and they found it. And so he left the NBA, it was a big thing. A bunch of people got diagnosed because of that being all over the news cycle for a while.
Oh, wow.
And then he started becoming a speaker for the foundation, and he wrote a book called Dream Again and started a charity called Dream Again. And then 2 years later, he went to China and played basketball professionally.
Wait, what?
Yep. Just fucking dropped everything and left go risk his life every day in China. In small villages and shit, where there are not access to high level medical specialists for Marfan syndrome, and then also lied and said his cardiologist said it was okay. Oh, so wow. Just spread misinformation essentially. So I had to call a dozen 12-year-olds and be like, hey, just because Isaiah's trying to kill himself doesn't mean you should too. Because we just get so much pressure to play basketball, and I think that he just kind of gave into it. No hate to Isaiah. It's just he made the lives of the people at the foundation who were responsible for the kids' well-being jobs a little bit harder. But I hope the best for him.
I know you get a lot of pressure to play basketball, but imagine if you were also black.
I can't imagine. I truly, and he was so good too, and that was such a big thing that he defined his self-worth on for a while. So I don't blame him, but it sucked. It sucks to write a book called Dream Again and then go back to the first dream.
Yeah. but look at it this way. What if Osama Bin Laden did play basketball?
Honestly, that's the one case of a person with Marfan syndrome where honestly, I wish they had played basketball.
So you say maybe there's some of the bad ones we got to get rid of.
I wish Osama was
only
really in a bumper car.
Yeah. If we could have a sorting mechanism beforehand, right?
I'm just saying he would write a book called Dream Again. Hey, I was thinking about blowing up the towers, and I found out this basketball. I'm pretty good. I have a good J. I got a good hook shot.
I am black and from Indiana, and I am terrible at basketball.
Yeah.
It's my whole life. I feel like it's just I'm in the middle of the Venn diagram of people that should be really good at basketball.
Yeah.
And
No, and I suck as well, but people don't seem to. People think, I guess people seem to acknowledge that I would not be naturally good at basketball because of my frail stature, but also they still come and be like, oh, the Knicks need you. But then they'll be like, oh, they don't ask me, do I play basketball? They say, like, did you play basketball when you were younger? But I'm like 23, so that just means like they just don't see a world where I currently play basketball in the prime of my life. You know?
Back when you were good. Back when you were hot.
Way back when I was young, like when I was 11, I guess I played basketball. But yeah.
Oh my God, you've been going on to you're featuring for like all these amazing headliners. Like you're featuring for like Sam Morril.
So I host for Sam Morril. I feature for John Marco Cerezi, host feature. So I do like 30 minutes on his shows. Those have been super fun. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. Kate Willett and I did a run together last year.
That's amazing.
I've done some stuff with Joe Zimmerman before. Done some stuff with Dusty Slay a lot. Dusty's been awesome. Dusty and Sam were like the first two headliners to kind of pick me up and bring me random cool places on the road. Really helped me kind of get out of my home scene a little bit and kind of, you know, spread your wings. You start writing stuff a lot faster when you're doing longer sets. And so, you know, when you're, I was, you know, I've only been doing comedy for like since October 2019. So like, you know, almost 4 years, technically, even with COVID, which made it kind of weird. So I'm like a newer comic, but I've been able to like kind of get more later comic experience by just putting myself in different markets, you know, just driving for 1,800 miles a tour.
Well, I also feel like as we've established too, like you're an very intelligent person. So like,
I try. It helps coming from the world of like video production and marketing, because that's an extra like, hey, headliner, like I know you don't know me at all and you have no reason to want to put me on your show, but I can offer a thing to make it worthwhile to give me a shot. And then once you do well once, it's like, oh yeah, of course you can come on, especially if he's going to tape the show. Like it helps sell you, not just like a random guy.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and I think with all of your background across the board too, I was having a conversation with someone the other day and I was like, you know what, I think the thing that makes a good comic that people like, it gets overlooked a lot is just self-awareness. I feel like being self-aware can just really help or hinder you so much.
For sure.
And like there's every once in a while you'll see someone post on Facebook, like some comic just post something that's so completely unhinged and detached from reality. And I'm just like, oh, this person doesn't even live on like the same planet that I do. You know, like, so I think that sometimes in certain aspects, like, it could be a superpower, you know, and it could really be like, all right, this is who I am. This is my lane. These are my strengths. These are my flaws.
Right.
Like, let's get to it. Like,
yeah. And I think mine being so obvious too, and like so commonly addressed by people helps me be the most self-aware, because I'm not just self-aware, I'm other people aware also. You know, like everyone's telling me shit about me. And so I have no choice but to acknowledge it constantly, you know?
What are your plans for like the rest of the year? Like this summer coming out? Like, what are you excited about?
Summer's gonna be big. I got my first headlining dates coming up at some pretty big clubs, which will be fun. Nice. Co-headlining with Max Price out of St. Louis, doing Blue Room in Springfield, doing the Upstairs Room at the Kansas City Comedy Club, and then doing some stuff in Denver, doing some stuff in headlining in Birmingham, opening for John Marco in Atlanta, and then Raleigh at Good Nights, which will be fun. That's all in August, and then doing camp, obviously. That's going to be fun. Yeah. Very excited for that. Going to probably headline Morgantown, West Virginia, either on the way to or from camp. Okay. Which will be fun. My friend Cody Cannon out there, shout out to Cody, runs some really great shows in a very cool little town. You know, it's, but yeah, I think that's all that's like locked in right now, but I'm hoping, you know, keep chipping away at the New York scene. It's pretty tough out there, but I'm making it. I'm making it work.
Does it feel weird that like you like can go out on the road and have all these amazing experiences and then go back to New York and it's like, sign up in that bucket over there.
Here, you can get a 5-minute spot if you pay me $10 and shut the fuck up for 4 hours. Like,
oh man,
it's pretty
like,
brutal.
I just hosted at a theater.
Yeah, but you know, I also live in the same city as John Marco, so anytime he has like a New Jersey gig, he's like, oh, you drive me, I'll pay a little extra money. Like you can just host feature, do 30 minutes. Like that's great. So like, I'm not living in New York for the New York shows yet. I think, I've made myself a resident videographer on a show called New York City is Dead. Eitan Levine, Drex Clemens, Ali O'Neill. Super fun show with it's like a 7-piece brass band backing it. Oh, okay. So it's like just a super fun vibe, great crowds. And so that one's like consistently fun. My show that's monthly out there, which is like the third Sunday of every month up in Hamilton Heights on 146 and Broadway. We have like great headliners and stuff. So I host that one. I get a longer spot there. I'm about to start a second monthly show up at the same spot on the first Sunday. So it's like, you can make those longer spots happen. But for the most part, it's like, got to go an hour and a half for 8 minutes in a room with 12 people in it. Were
you like into comedy growing up, or was it something that like kind of like sprang up later in life?
I think my mom always like showed me like George Carlin and shit. Richard Pryor, my dad was super into. My dad always played like the Sirius XM like comedy channels on road trips and stuff. But I don't know. I think I wasn't ever like I was big into comedy TV, like sitcoms and shit. And then after all my friends went to college when I was like 18, living in Atlanta, they all moved away. I was kind of alone. My girlfriend, who I had like met in high school and I'm still dating now, had gone up to school in New York. So I was like very much alone living at my parents' place, and I needed like a new way to make friends. And I have a hard time like going to places without a reason to be there. Yeah. So I shot
it's called anxiety.
Yeah, right? Yeah. I shot a comedy show for a magician friend of mine because I was a magician when I was a kid, like a professional magician.
You buried the lead.
Yeah, so I had
been talking about all these disabilities.
You're the one that put the magic in the sauce.
I had a whole nother career before film, which was magic. Yeah, I was like I hit the Atlanta kids' birthday party circuit hard when I was like 12. I made some good money too. I was all right.
I would love to see a magic Chewbacca.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so magician to Chewbacca to videographer, like it is
a lot of them happening at the same time too, and then comedian. But
you should have read a book called Dream Again.
I didn't ever love the like actual magic parts of magic. I like the stage performance parts, so I think it makes sense to like transition to comedy. Like the part I liked was making up stories about the tricks to like tell people.
So you always felt like very comfortable, because like that's the thing. Like notice like a lot of like people that like come from improv backgrounds to stand up, like they already are like kind of ahead of the curve because they just feel comfortable being.
I was also like a speaker for that nonprofit I was telling you about, where like they had me talking about my documentary in certain places, and I was used to like talking about my own life experience. So that's very much core to like stand up, you know? Yeah. But I was shooting a comedy show for my magician friend of mine who was like opening for the comedy show. And then I shot the show. I met a guy named Will Foskey, who's out of Atlanta. I don't know if you met him before. Great Atlanta comic. He just moved up to New York actually. He was super funny, and I looked him up to try to find more of his stuff online. Couldn't find anything because local comics hardly ever have, good, like, or at least used to reliably have like good longer tapes online for people to watch. So I reached out to him like, hey man, like I'd love to come out and shoot your shows for free if I can just come hang out. So like for the first few weeks of being involved in the Atlanta comedy scene, I was just like a videographer who was coming places with Will, and it was a great way to meet everybody because he's already super established in the scene, and I was like providing a thing so people like kind of snap me up pretty quick, and then I just kept talking about doing stand up, and eventually Will got kind of fed up with it and just put my name in the bucket for one, and then I did a 5 set, and I was like, oh, okay, no, this is, I'm gonna do this, and then
so you got baby birded into comedy,
basically, yeah. Well, I was just like very content. Like you've met the people who are like, oh, I go to a lot of comedy shows, and like I always sit up front, and I really like comedy, and like I've always thought about doing comedy. I was gonna be that guy for another probably year or so if he hadn't kind of given me a little shove.
Okay.
So, but then I got into it pretty quick, and I did the same thing where my friend Ty Colgate, who runs, he ran a bar show down there. So I got in as like his resident videographer. So I'd like do spots pretty regular there, start doing open mics, and it was a good way to meet new people. Like all my friends became comics, and I had a whole new like group of people who all I can hang out with once I kind of broke into it. And it helped revitalize like my life in Atlanta a little bit outside of like the production world,
Is this your IMDb? Was it brought up?
Old as shit.
Oh, like
the music videos don't really go on IMDb.
You did your first film at 9 though?
Yeah, it won a couple of festival awards. It was for like this like kids film festival.
Are you like a genius too, or like are you like in Mensa?
Yeah.
No, I think I'm just a person who like decided to. Whenever I decide to do something, I do it like 110%, and I've had like my parents, while being like real characters, are also like very supportive and like willing to, like, my dad, you know, helped me bankroll like my magic career, because you got to like buy a bunch of shit to be a magician, you know? Or like, you know, my mom like introduced me to a bunch of videographers when I wanted to do video. Like there's like, they really like were like, okay, you want to do this? Cool. But you got to like do it. And I was like, all right, yeah. So I just like threw myself, like, even when I played video games when I was like same kind of age, 12, I got into where I started working as like an administrator on a gaming trading community in TF2, and like I ended up trading for items that I ended up selling for like $7,000 when I was 15. Just like working a whole ass like part-time job on the internet. And the only reason I was like middlemaning these like gambling things on there where like someone give me like they'd each give me a hat that was worth like $10,000. I was like 13 at the time, and the only reason I didn't just steal it and walk away is because like a sweaty 30-year-old man who was my boss in his mom's basement would have been mad at me. He would have fired me from this barely paid like online job, like telling people not to say the N-word over voice chat. So it's just, I've always like made everything like a profession, you know? It's like, it's never been like a hobby. Nothing can be a hobby for me for very long.
Has there ever been anything that you were into that you just weren't like good at?
I mean, magic a little bit. Like it took a while because I have like connective tissue disorder. So like I don't have super great fine motor skills, which is very necessary for magic.
Like flipping cards.
I like card shit is like very hard for me, and I did mostly card tricks.
How many audiences are nice when they see the trick revealed?
What do you mean, like revealed? Like you fuck up?
Yeah.
My elementary school talent show was pretty nice. I fucked up pretty bad, but I was like funny enough to where I made the parents laugh about the tricks fucking up, and so they're like, "That was great." And I'm like, "Oh, really? All right." That was probably my first comedy show I ever did, because the tricks all went so bad that I just started telling jokes.
Magic forced you into comedy.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going. The magic forced me to copy.
Well, I do want to. Let's have a magic off when we go upstairs.
All right, yeah.
Because
if you have a deck of cards, I can do some.
I have a magic trick that I can show you. It's not painful at all.
Okay, that makes me afraid.
Well,
yeah, I do. I was going to ask.
Don't pull up the Liam Neeson black people with a pipe video. All right, I had to deal with a bunch of fucking people coming for me on my social media as being like, "You're a fucking racist," and I'm like, "I am a 20-year-old man from Georgia. I'm not Liam Neeson. Please stop harassing me."
Like right now, I'm pouring a milkshake on a black lady's booty for $1,000.
I respect the culture. All right, I support young black business people.
Man, we were just talking about that. We were talking about that earlier because I was like, you know, his name is Liam Nelson. Like, and then we started talking about the Liam Neeson thing, and I was just like I will say this. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. Like it was such a weird thing where it was just like I get what he was trying to do. Is like, hey man, we all have these racist, terrible thoughts sometimes.
Yeah, but why?
But he also just like tattled on himself.
Just don't just say that.
It was such a wild overshare that it was just like nobody. It wasn't a gotcha show he was on.
No.
Nobody was digging around for it.
Well, I want to see the guy that looks like the guy that was on the other side of the camera. What did he look like? He was like from Duck Dynasty or something like that. He might have been bragging a little bit, like, "Hey, you know, I had a pipe. I was."
You just see him like, "No."
He's like, "Don't trust the guy, even though this guy looks racist. You're too comfortable, Liam."
But you got a lot of like boil over from that.
Oh yeah, my whole life I've had like, especially on like Skype accounts and shit where there isn't a picture, people will add me and be like, "Are you Liam Nelson from Taken?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not." But yeah, there were I got a couple like tweets accidentally sent at me instead of Liam Neeson. I got a couple like Instagram DMs because they spelled his name wrong when they like looked up the social media account.
Because that's what I was thinking. You'd get not only, you know, like the worst of it, you'd get the worst spellers.
Oh yeah. The only way I'll ever be able to be Googled is if I'm more famous than the amount of times people misspell his name.
That's a real.
Wow. So I have to be
benchmark.
Yeah, more.
So there's a reason for a stage name for you.
I mean, there could be. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Now you said you do perform in a lot of black rooms.
Yeah,
and, like obviously you're of the culture. Like what would your stage, like if you could pick a stage name? Like,
oh man,
like
my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
Instead of earthquake, you'd be climate change.
Long winter because I'm tall and white.
I like that.
That's the name of the episode right there.
Long winter because I'm tall and white. That's a good one.
Yeah,
That's great.
fruit by the foot.
Real quick, who's and you can divulge as much or as little as you want to. What's like your best story about meeting someone in comedy? And what's your worst story about meeting somebody in comedy?
Oh, best story. Nate Bargatze. I was at the Nashville Comedy Festival like last year, and his it was at the New Material Monday show. Oh, can you plug my headphones in? Sorry, there you go. I was at the New Material Monday show for the Nashville Fest, so it's like the biggest new material show of the year. It's like packed out. I mean, the lineup's like Nate Bargatze, Dusty Slade, John Chris, like Bert Kreischer trumped in. Like it's a whole. And
you're hosting.
I think I was hosting, or I was going like first or something. And then Nate's sister shows up with his 15-year-old nephew, and then she's like, "Yeah, he's here for the open mic." And they're all like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's gonna do a spot." And then eventually it works out to where this kid's doing 3 minutes on the biggest New Material Monday show of the year, because he's Nate Bargatze's nephew, like, of course.
Yeah.
And so, I'm in the only young person in a room of like all these, comedy legends. And so he kind of walks over to me and like we start talking. I'm like, "Hey man, how's it going?" Just like trying to be friendly. And he's like, "Yeah, can I run my jokes by you?" And he starts telling me his jokes. And I'm like, "Man, can I give you some tags for those?" So I like work with him to like rewrite all of his jokes like 15 minutes before he goes up.
Oh wow!
And then Nate brings him up. So obviously he has like a little bit of like a, "This is my nephew, be nice." Like, and then he ends up doing really well. Like the jokes go over well. I'll pull up a photo. But Nate, he apparently told Nate afterwards. Actually, if you just go to my Instagram, it's on there under like the photos that I posted from the Nashville Comedy Festival. But he like comes up to me after the show and he's like, "Hey man, like great job. Thank you so much for writing those jokes. Like they were super funny." Like, and he was like shook my hand. So there's a photo my friend got. It's like a film photo of his nephew and Nate like looking at me like I'm the coolest guy ever. It's my favorite picture I've ever had taken of me.
That is awesome. That's also kind of part of the reason why
it's on my Instagram, not on my Twitter. Sorry, I'm not a big Twitter guy, which is weird for being a comedian.
I like your Twitter background photo.
Thank you. Yeah,
just like a big Mr. Wilson.
Shout out to Sam. He took the same photo. He took the Nate Bargatze photo too.
Oh, nice.
He's a great dude who has taken a lot of very good shots of me. It's pretty down there.
Also, I feel like I feel like that the photo doesn't look like you. For some reason, every time I see it, I have to be like, "Who's this guy? Who's this explorer I'm looking at?"
So it's so that's probably the best story. Fucking worst story.
When you had to sleep in our basement.
One time I came to these two black guys' house and they were like, "Couch or basement?"
I don't have a ton of worst stories. I mean, well, does it count as in comedy if it's T.I.?
Sure.
So T.I. started.
Wait, is your worst story from this weekend?
No, it's from when he started comedy in Atlanta. And he was on all of our shows. And so oh, that's the video. Yeah. He, was coming to these shows where everyone does 7, doing like 45 of the worst stand-up I've ever heard. Like he has like a tight 10, and then he just he's like, the Ukraine situation's crazy. Like the Russian tanks are falling apart. Like what the fuck are you talking about, dog? You're T.I.
Yeah.
Talk about being T.I. for 45 minutes. So he was like bombing consistently, but I would always have to go right before or right after him. And he used to call me Marfan motherfucker. Which is like,
Jesus Christ.
I took it as like he remembered me at the time, but then in hindsight, I'm like, man, he just really just what? Like, don't call me that. But then I was at this open mic called R Bar, and he starts yelling, like he did 30 minutes on this already before this video started, and he's like gets off stage. I forget what all happened to lead up to it, but he starts like yelling like bitch from the back of the room, like at Lauren Knight, who's an Atlanta comic, who's like. Probably at the top of my list of Atlanta comics I would not want to fuck with, especially when they're holding a microphone.
Yeah.
Because he then like he calls her a bitch from the back of the room. She says like, "Hey, maybe shut the fuck up and focus on your human trafficking allegations." So he gets. She starts like emoting at him like so he like steals the mic from her. He charges the front, rips it out of her fucking hand, and goes on this whole like midlife crisis-esque rant about like, they ain't got shit on me. Like, and then she's up there just like fucking vibing on stage. And then she takes it back. She's like, you don't grab shit at my show. Like, just makes him look like a little fucking bitch.
Let's go.
And then so it became such a thing that like he had to address it on social media afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it was like such a to-do. And he's like, man,
I'm on Black Twitter.
I never called her a bitch. I'd give you $1 million if I called you a bitch. She posts a video 3 minutes later of a security cam footage of him calling her a bitch. So like other rappers were clowning him in his DMs. Like
give that $1 million. Where's that?
Yeah.
payout?
So he ended up just putting her on a couple theater shows, being like, I support the young Atlanta comedians. Like
Smart to get out of that's the smart
she's
play.
Like, she's just like clowning him the whole time.
So funny.
And it's T.I. who has murdered people, you know? Like, she's like, I'm sorry, what?
So here's the thing, and I'm not even specifically addressing T.I. here, but like I think the difference between like, I mean, stand-up comedians, like, we're mall clowns, you know, like going from gangster rap to comedian, like, doesn't even make sense.
Fell hard.
It doesn't even make sense. And like, honestly, like, I'll say this in T.I.'s defense. This is the best case scenario, I feel like, because like,
well, he's headlining clubs all over the country now and just bringing some other better comedians along with him to write his jokes do most of his time. So he's selling like the club price seating. He has like VIP boxes and like bottle service and shit at the comedy clubs.
Wow.
So he's making way more than any headliner ever.
Well, you can have whatever you like. Yeah. Here's the thing, guys. This isn't the podcast where we shit on T.I. All right, I'm enough of this. You're not. No, actually, it's sad for me because the switch makes me not enjoy him as much right now because I hear all these bad stories. Maybe he has a come up story where he becomes the most funny comedian and we forget that he even rapped. Yeah. But like until now, I was like, oh man, I really enjoyed his music.
Yeah.
Can you drop a beat for me, Sauce Boss?
I'd rather him have something else happen.
Liam, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a very fun weekend.
Yeah.
And great time on the podcast. Where can people find you and follow you on social media?
Instagram at Liam J. Nelson, Facebook, Liam Nelson. That's pretty much it. Twitter at Liam J. Nelson. Don't really post much on there, but I post all my dates on my Instagram and my Facebook. Find me. I'm touring all over the country, so I'll probably be in a city near you pretty soon here. So,
and also if comics or people want a professional videographer.
Yeah, I shoot shows. I perform on shows. If you give me a paid spot performing, I'll give you a deal on shooting your show. So hit me up. All right.
Daddy's Jake.
You can find me at Thad McKee on Instagram and Twitter. And then I'm doing a little GoFundMe for Help T.I.'s career. It's just where we teach etiquette for rappers that want to turn to comedians.
Dude, we could do that.
Yeah.
It'll be part of a whole series. It'll be a comeback series. We can put them on there and Kanye.
Kanye, T.I.
Rehabilitated.
Rehabilitated. That's the name of it. What did he do?
Yeah.
He was Flava Flav.
That's what he did.
Why do we have Zach's favorite slogan on the TV behind him? Well, that's crazy. He's always saying that. He has that on a t-shirt. Zach Rome.
What's that? What's the slogan?
Oh, hoping some black bastard would come out of the pub.
You can find me at hoping for some black bastard on all social media.
Find him outside your nearest pub waiting for some black bastard to come out.
It's a themed restaurant, isn't it? For black people without fathers.
I'm Dyke Michael. I don't want to plug after that.
You're talking. This is for.
I'm literally a black bastard.
Dyke is a black bastard in this situation. Come out of the pub, Dyke. I've been waiting for a long time.
I hang out in a lot of pubs. I'm at Dyke Michaels on all social media. Adult Summer Camp 2023. Tickets are on sale now. Eventbrite.com. And we'll see you next time.
Be there.